All right, welcome, Senior Home Business family. How you guys doing today? Brittany and Matt are back in the house. I know it's Friday. It's not Wednesday. We had some routing issues on my end on Wednesday. Stinks, I know, but hey, things happen. Half my computers, Brittany, were working, and the other half were not. And Alexa was not working. Home security was working part of the time and not part of the time. It just was a real mess over here. So sorry about that. We had a delay on Wednesday until today. Hopefully, you guys got some flexibility here in this live today and can join with us. But today we're talking about the changes that have occurred in senior placement over time. And a lot has happened since 2018. I use 2018 because that's the year, Brittany, I got involved in it. So that's why I put 2018. You can put any number you want, 2017, 2010, whatever. But I started as an entrepreneur in 2018, and Brittany shortly thereafter, either 2018, 2019, somewhere around there.
Later 19, yeah.
2019. And so here we are in 2025. We're going to talk about the changes that have occurred over time. Like any industry, things do change, things do evolve, and you've got to stay abreast of what's going on, stay informed, and be willing to adapt and adjust. If you're not willing to do those things, it's going to be very difficult for you. So we're going to go over 5 things today. If you want to know more about the Senior Placement Institute that Brittany and I have co-taught, and we really enjoy, and Brittany does our coaching throughout the week. Know more about those programs, you can schedule a call with myself. I will get on the call with you. Come with your questions. Don't come and just tell me how the weather's doing and where you live. And Brittany, sometimes I get calls like that. It's so much fun. But like the first 10 minutes are like, yeah, it was a great day yesterday. I had a birthday party for my kids and we just kind of kicked back. And I'm sitting out in the patio enjoying the weather. And I'm like, how can I help you? So that's it. I appreciate the weather and the kids. I got great weather in California now. And fortunately, we're over the summer months, and I got grandkids. I enjoy family as well. So you can tell me those things, but just have your questions. That'd be great. And then if you want to watch a webinar for the Senior Placement Institute or TSL, things like that, a little update. We did the Senior Placement Challenge last week, and it was a huge success. Actually, I guess we did it the week prior. I flew back last week. And we're going to do that again in November, the 3rd week. It's going to be a little bit different this time. We're looking to, we're obviously going to be going to a different area, Brittany, different state, different city. And I'll be bringing Josh with me this time. It was so much fun, but the first time, Brittany, this was the first and only time, I spent 100% of the time in the hotel room. So simply making calls and doing social media and things that I know to do. And I think I do fairly well. But this time we're actually going to go out and talk to some people in the communities. And I'm hoping if you're out there and you want to join this challenge, we are going to have an application that we're going to come out with here shortly that you can fill out and see if you're a candidate for me to go and to coach you and to establish your business right on the spot. So there might be some people out there listening that are saying, hey, I really want to do this business. I don't know how, don't know where to turn to. I'm thinking about a franchise, but I don't want to spend that kind of money. And you want me to come out there and you want to have like my marketing director, Crystal, she'll be at the here and staying at home, but she'll be making some calls for us, things like that. I'll be bringing Josh with me and bringing some of my team. So if you want to know more about that, you can schedule a call as well. We'd love to talk to you more about that. So, well, Brittany, it's always good to see you. You've had a fantastic month. I think you and Trey just got back from Mexico, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I saw the pictures and I was like, man, they just look like they're having way too much fun. And especially Trey's face, man, he looked like he was in heaven on the, was it a dune buggy or something?
Yeah, the side-by-sides.
Yeah, he was just like, you can tell he was just having the time of his life. And so that's part of what it's all about, right? In this business, it gives us the flexibility to be able to do certain things that we want to do. And I wasn't afforded that opportunity, and my own fault, not anybody's fault, but up until 2018, because I always worked for somebody, and I was bound by their schedule, Brittany. And it was like, hey, it's got to be at work a certain day, certain hours, and you take your breaks, lunch, and all that stuff. Now we got the joy of kind of having some freedom and doing what we're doing. But the biggest part of this business, helping seniors. But we want to get into today in terms about 5 things that this industry has changed over the course of the last at least 7 years, maybe a little bit longer. But Brittany, number one I've got is communities are more guarded about partnerships. I've noticed that over time. Is in 2018 when I started, it just seemed like every community I talked to, they were like, oh yeah, we'll sign your referral agreement. Even the community I used to work for, and I put in my resignation, And I eventually told them what I was going to do. They asked me on the last day I was leaving. They actually thought I was going to a different community, and they were like, "Well, what are you going to do?" And I told them what I was going to do. They were like, "Oh, we'll sign your referral agreement." Everybody was easy, and that was not a corporately owned community, but they were owned and operated by investors and a management group. And so anyway, I just find it today, and we hear this from our students sometimes, that communities are a little more guarded. And I've got some reasons, I think, and I'd like to hear your viewpoint as well. And one of my reasons is I think communities have done this so many times where they've signed somebody's referral agreement and the senior placement agent didn't actually bring them anything. So they've kind of gone through this exercise of signing, and which is, I think, is kind of weird anyway, because I'm supposedly entering into a partnership, right? I'm gonna go into a business agreement with you, and the community doesn't even know you, right? They don't know you. If they don't know you, they definitely don't trust you at this point, and they don't know your history. So I think a lot of communities now are vetting, senior placement agents. How long have you done this? It doesn't mean if you just started, that's bad. It's just, do you know the process? You know what you're doing? I mean, because this business, Brittany, used to be like a name drop business. So that's just a couple of my ideas. What's your ideas? Why do you think communities tend to be a little more guarded today than they used to be?
I agree with what you said. I've had some feedback where, I've had communities that I've begun to work with want us to bring like 5 referrals paid, one-off kind of situation. And then they will eventually sign your referral agreement. So they're kind of wanting to prove yourself. So to what you said, I have evidence that backs that. I also think it's more so they know that someone is representing their community. So we are marketing these communities, these big corporations, big management groups that, really their reputation means a lot to them and they've worked really hard to keep that reputation. So I think they're more selective on, does that senior placement agent know the process, know what they're doing, able to represent them in the right way that they want to be represented. So I agree again with what you said, and that's the most backed evidence that I have. I also have gotten feedback where they have signed a lot of like national or like lead generator companies where they're just getting inundated with things and there's not a real partnership. So I think they're wanting them more face-to-face, build the relationship, and you be able to prove yourself that you know what you're doing before they will just sign.
Yeah, definitely. And, ultimately these communities, they want qualified leads, right? And just because you have a lead, somebody that may be in need of assisted living, but they don't have the resources, or maybe it's beyond their level of acuity in that community, whatever it may be, it's not a qualified lead. And so, to your point, Brittany, they do expect us to do a lot more today, which I know you embrace, and so do I. I actually love it. I think you do it. I know you do. You do a lot more detailed. I don't know if you call it analysis, but just upfront, uh, typed information. I believe you do than I do. I rely heavily on the contact form that we have that you know all about in the questionnaire. In the state of California, I make sure we get the 602 physicians report. And I kind of go beyond the questionnaire in the sense of like the residents' preferences. I try to do a deep dive into the conversation at the beginning, not only hear their needs physically, emotionally, psychologically, but also they're just things they would prefer to have in a community. So I do those kind of things, but I know you do kind of like a whole big thing, which I really respect. But to that's what the communities are expecting. Again, this business used to be a name drop business. So it's kind of like just get a name and number and drop it off, and maybe you'll get a little finder's fee and things like that. And it's just not the way it works nowadays. I think some communities make it, and maybe it's done with intent, I guess, on purpose, is they make it a little more difficult to get your referral agreement signed, right? There's some that will take weeks, if not months, to get it signed, and some might just outright refuse your referral agreement, right? Especially if their occupancy rate is sky high. I mean, if they have like 99% occupied, they don't really necessarily need us. If they have a waiting list, they definitely don't need us, things like that. So these are the things you're going to need to know when you're dealing with communities. But let's get into the second one. Things that have changed over the course of time, and now we're in 2025, is to be successful in this industry, you're really going to need a digital presence. something that was looked upon in 2018. I did a lot of it then because I felt like Brittany, it made me stand apart versus other senior placement agents that were out there. I noticed quickly that hardly any of them, if I don't think any of them were actually on social media to the extent I was on from a business standpoint. Now they were posting family pictures, vacations and things like that, but they really weren't doing anything about their business except for maybe a Facebook business page. They relied real heavily on brochures and business cards, things like that. But you're going to need to have a digital presence. I know, Brittany, you do as well. Your business. I love your business colors. I think they're phenomenal. I love it in everything you do. It's so much fun looking at your success and different things that you've been doing. But speak to that about far as having a digital presence, because isn't that where families are going and people are looking? I mean, they're going online. That's how a lot of these national companies have gotten to the place they've gotten. Even I know we disagree with them how they do certain things in their business, but they get a lot of leads because they're online.
Yeah, definitely. I think also even how we are local and meet and network and talk with families in person. What do we do nowadays? Somebody says, "Hey, call Matt." This company name, we would probably get on Google or get on Facebook and search Matt and the company name. So what I found is having a digital presence, showing that you're doing the business, showing that you're valid. It validates you. It just proves another point that you're trustworthy, like reviews and references. And so I know a lot of times when I meet with social workers and I meet with even families, I can tell they go to my Google posting, they go to my website, they go to my Facebook page to just make sure who they're talking to is legit, probably, and just to make sure that we're real. So it's huge. I will tell you right now, my website gets a ton of views. They're definitely not converting to leads, but after an event or after a meeting, I can tell people are checking me out. So it's really important to show that you're doing the things. I think it just really builds trust, especially reviews and seeing other families that have used us. I always say people like to know what other people are doing. People trust that. So what other families are doing, what other social workers are doing, who are they going to? And you want to be that person.
Yeah, your website essentially is your digital storefront, right? I mean, it's your office. It's people go to confirm who you are, what you do, and I'm not a firm believer in. Let me back up while I'm saying this. One thing I do see with websites, in particular with senior placement agents, 'cause I've seen a lot of them nowadays over the years, is they all look the same except for the colors, the name. That's why I do mine completely different, honestly. And I don't, because I think my website is nowhere near the best out there. I think it's the most confusing out there. I think it's the most busy. It's just, but to me, it's just different. And that's why I oftentimes will use landing pages for people to go on, but they can always go to my website to see all we do. So I put everything all on one page. And let me help you out, you guys out there that are posting. Maybe you just got into the business, or maybe you just, say, hey, I really need to get online and start doing some things. And you start posting and you don't get any engagement, no likes, no follows, no. I mean, you just no traction, right? It's frustrating. I get it. Happened to me quite a bit, especially at the beginning. Brittany, I think it took me about 3 months. Almost gave up on it, actually, because it was at the point where I felt like, why am I doing all this? I'm spending all this time, effort, and energy to put up posts, and I'm not getting any leads. I mean, to your point, right? So a lot of traffic to your website, but very little leads. And I was feeling the same way with social media. But one thing I picked up on, and it's not rocket science, and everybody in the world probably knows it, but this will be beneficial to you if you have the long game in mind and you're doing social media. Understanding when people go back to your page, whatever page you're on, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever social media that you're using, they want to see some history of what you've done. And if they see no history, if they see inconsistencies, like you haven't posted in 3 weeks, I'm telling you, if I go to your page, and because let's say I saw a post of yours and I was really excited about what you do, and I clicked on your page and I go there and you haven't posted in 3 or 4 weeks, I would go, man, she's probably inconsistent. She just doesn't value this as much as I would like her to. Or if I go there and there's like no post or, huge gaps and you haven't posted in a long time, I would think, are you still in business? Are you still around? Are you still doing this? And I think that's just been part of the strength, Brittany, of yourself, me, and others that have been successful in this business and having a digital presence, a digital footprint, is that we've been consistent over time. And so I get that a lot when I talk to people. They go, well, it's easy for you, Matt, because you've been doing this for such a long time. Well, it doesn't negate the work that goes into it, right? It doesn't, you know, I don't know what to say to that. It's like, yeah, I've been doing this a long time. That should say something to you, but anyone could get started today and just keep going. And if you've never been on social media or are very inconsistent, just make a commitment to get on social media once a week to do this, one post a day or something like that. Just be consistent in doing it, have some sort of messaging behind what you do. And that's a topic for another day, I know, about far as the content, because I know people struggle with that too. But you're going to need to do it. And the best advice I've ever heard about content has come from Brad Lee. And Brad Lee used to have this guy that was following him around with a camera. And the guy was like, come on, Mr. Lee, we've got to do content. We got to do content. And Bradley finally said, you know what? Turn the camera on. I am the content. That was the best thing he said. That's the best advice I could give you out there as well. There's plenty of times I just do that too. Not to the extent of Bradley. But I do that on occasion, try doing that. So number 3, Brittany, is a higher competition among agents. And this is by no means saying this industry is saturated, but it is over time that we've noticed, obviously in the last 7 years, more and more people are getting into this industry. And there's more and more opportunity, you guys. We've said ad nausea that by 2030, all the baby boomers will be 65, and all the statistics you can just Google and ChatGPT and figure out yourself of how this industry is growing and how it continues to grow. But there is more competition, which means, and what Brittany and I were talking about off air, is you're going to be sharper in what you do. You're going to have to be a little more refined as a senior placement agent. Again, it's not the name drop business. It's actually having a business. And because there's more people doing it, what's going to make you stand out? So, Brittany, what are some things that people can do in this business to make them stand out?
I would say find out first how are you different? What is the lane that you're going to take, and what is going to make you a placement agent and yourself? We always say the business is yourself. What are you going to do to stand out? So if you hone in on that and make sure that that is what you stick to and perform and overperform that exact reason why you are different. Also education, making sure that you know the process very well and that you're comfortable talking with, people in the industry and are able to keep up with the conversation, knowing verbiage, knowing jargon. That does come with time. You don't have to know everything right off the bat, but at least having the basics down is really important. Starting a new placement agency and not having those bones will start you on a bad foot, probably, with some people that they can definitely tell that you're new. So you want to make sure that you work through those. And just making sure that you're meeting people and able to really perform. All the feedback that I get in my markets is there's a lot of agents that, just aren't doing what we've talked about today, what is expected of us nowadays. And it is a lot. I mean, I think some of us, they even expect us to be more of case managers and so much placement agents. So
Right.
Just making sure you find out why you're different, though. Hone in on that, stick to that, and overperform.
Yeah, that's one thing I did, and I've said it several times in this channel, is it wasn't a magical number 4, but I ended up picking 4 areas that made me distinctively different than other senior placement agents that are out there. And one was social media, we've already talked about, and there's some others. And I just honed in on those areas. Lean into your strengths, mitigate your weaknesses, but understand that you're going to have to be different and maybe go the extra mile in certain areas, which we all try to do anyway. If you're in this industry and you just want to get do the bare minimum to get paid, it's going to be very difficult. You've got to go over and beyond. It is a business, and the cool thing about it is that you're helping seniors at no cost, no obligation. It's so much fun to be able to help a senior. I know, Brittany, you're at the level now, and I'm at the level where if I get paid, I get paid. If I don't, I don't. And this guys, I don't mean to say that I don't want to get paid. I always want to get paid. I mean, to have any successful business, you have cash flow, but there are just plenty of opportunities and times I don't get paid for what I do. And, I don't mind it. I never get off the phone. Well, I shouldn't say never, but in the last, let's say 3 years, I've never got on the phone in the last 3 years going, oh man, I'm not getting paid. Now, prior to that, especially early on when I needed the money, like those videos, Brittany, where I talked about, man, my only goal was to get $5,000 a month. I kind of laugh at that now. It's kind of funny, isn't it? But that was my only goal, man, make $5,000 a month. And I guess back then I probably felt differently if I didn't get paid for what I was doing, and be like, oh my gosh, I really need to get paid. So I totally get the idea and the thought process behind wanting to get paid, but it's but understand you have to be a little bit different. And even how you approach social workers, we talked about that before off the air, Brittany, before we got on. Discharge planners. I mean, think through the process. We're not going to teach you on this channel everything, right? That's what the Senior Placement Institute is for, right? But there are some things you can do strategically to make yourself stand out and be apart from others that maybe others are not doing, and figure those things out, and you'll be a lot more successful. So, Brittany, number 4, communities expect agents to do more. We kind of alluded to this a little few minutes ago, but they do expect us to do more, right? I mean, it's not the just name, number, and those kind of things, but what are some things the communities are expecting us to do today that maybe didn't occur back in 2018?
I would say more in-depth help on the move-in process. Like once somebody chooses a place, they deposit. I have found they lean on me more than anybody else, even if somebody is in the hospital or in a skilled nursing rehab. Any kind of discharge planning really ends up on us, even if we're not working with the social worker, for example. And then also follow-up, which we should be doing, but I think there's more pressure on us to follow up after the tours and give them consistent updates, whether it be weekly, monthly. If you have a lead that's going to take a little bit to move, they do expect a lot of updates, and they want full transparency on feedback and all of those things. So I don't see where we tour and then we kind of wipe our hands. I definitely see that they want us to see the client completely through. And in my instance, I know that I'm probably a little bit overkill on this, but
that's all right. That's fantastic. That's another way you're standing out, though.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Like I've gone as far. I do all the medical records and I do those things. That's kind of how my agency has set myself apart. So I basically essentially do their job for them. But that's kind of where, as an agent, they have to be able to know when to draw that line and where they decide to go with that. But I have seen the more you do those things, the more they expect. So marketing directors and admissions and nurses I set assessments. I do all kinds of things that probably wouldn't be usually expected as a placement agent.
I mean, we look at this, communities expect agents to do more. There's a high expectation there, or at least a higher expectation today than back in 2018. But let me ask you a question, kind of play the devil's advocate here. Why do we even talk about that? Who cares, right? We're giving them a qualified lead. I mean, who cares? I mean, I know we should care. I mean, I'm just playing the other role part here. Like, who cares if they expect more? I'm just going to do this and give them a lead and get paid. But let me answer, and I'll bounce it to you. The reason you don't want to think that way is because ultimately you're representing the client and you're promoting the communities. There's a business relationship that you're establishing with these communities. You want to get to know these communities, and if you're going to vet them and promote them and understand the dynamics of their community, things like that, it's going to take a business relationship. So when they do want more, it's okay. I look at it upon as maybe in a relationship, Brittany, right? You're married, I'm married. When you get married, when you first start dating, you don't expect a whole lot, and then when you get married, you expect a little bit more, and after you're married a little bit longer, you expect a lot more, right? I'm right in the middle of a birthday month for my wife. I started this last year, and it's started, and her birthday month obviously is in October. It's 31 days. So I did every day last year, and I'm doing it again, and I'm trying to pace myself with certain things, but I'm really challenged as to what to get a person who has everything. My wife has everything imaginable. I mean, on the jewelry side to the clothes side to you name it. It's difficult, but I actually enjoy it. I think I fell short yesterday. I don't think she was as excited as she was the day before. And so I think that's part of the game too. But the whole expectation piece, right? So the longer you're in a relationship with somebody, and no different with communities, they're going to expect you to do a little bit more, right? And they understand too the amount of money that they are extending. I mean, if they're giving you 100% or 80%, whatever the percentage may be, I mean, they're giving you a good chunk of the change right at the beginning. So they're going to expect more. So let's go to the next one, Brittany. Families are smarter and more informed. Um, this kind of comes along. Maybe the families are expecting a little bit more from us. And if you just have the idea as a senior placement agent, you're just going to get on the phone with somebody and go, hey, I've got 3 communities I'd like to point you in the direction to. They're going to want to know more about those communities and about why you're doing what you're doing and how you're doing what you're doing, right? I mean, if they can Google it, chat GPT it, if they can drive down the freeway and notice a community off to the side and gain some information from a trusted friend at work, and all that process that they go through is more than what you can provide, how's that going to make you look when you actually talk to them? So you don't want to do that. But in what ways are families smarter, Brittany, today? And I know that's kind of I don't even like that question, because I mean, not that people were dumb back in 2018. It's just with the extent and level of technology today, there's more resources that families have today to research, right?
Yeah, I think they're a good word too is more curious. So they want a lot of families, in my experience, I get that they're questioning not my recommendations, so to say, but they hear from the neighbor and chat GPT and Google and national companies. There's so many ways to get information. So I think a lot of them are just curious, as they should be, on what is the right fit for their loved one. And we get challenged as senior living placement agents on what about this one? What about this one? What about this one? They do that quite often. So I have seen more of that. And I think that with even just social media and stuff, things get around about communities, about them. So I think that they're more curious and smarter, and they want to know everything. And they're really looking for someone that is fully transparent and not a salesperson. They're kind of looking for an advocate and someone to really help them through the process, not just say, oh, there's 5 communities in your area, check all these 5 out. So I have
Yeah,
seen that they do expect more.
yeah, they do. Because to your point, let's say somebody did that to me. I was not in the industry, and somebody says, "Okay, Matt, your dad needs assisted living. That's great. We've identified 5 locations, 5 communities." Well, if I know anything about my area, and I wouldn't even have to be a senior placement agent to know this one particular piece, I would know there's over 100, and there's more than 200 now, but I know there's at least over 100, if I wasn't a senior placement agent, more care homes in the area. You just see it, you hear it all the time. So I'd be like, you're giving me 5. What about the other 95? And I get, families, they want all the information. And that's where you, as a senior placement agent, need to bring that knowledge to the table and be able to hear their story, know their situation, what's the best fit for them. And you're never directing anyone anywhere, but you also are suggesting, saying, hey, if it was my mom or dad in this situation, these are the opportunities, these are the communities that I would look at first, and see if it's a good fit for a mom or dad. But yeah, families are more informed. I mean, you may talk to somebody that you just get a lead from, and you think they know nothing about assisted living, which that happens too. I mean, I do get people that don't have a clue or what goes on, but there are the educated ones out there. They've done their due diligence. They maybe spend some time with a social worker at skilled nursing. Maybe they have a friend that's gone through this process before. Maybe they went online and entered information with a national company and already had a conversation with somebody and got a bunch of information. Or maybe they did go on ChatGPT and ask all these different questions and extracted some data from that, or whatever it may be. But it just goes to say that as senior placement agents, we need to be on top of our game. We need to be better today than we were yesterday. And that's where 2025 is senior placement agents need to be on top of their game. I think sometimes senior placement agents kind of rely on their past history. You hear a lot of that, and maybe I've said it too, been in the business for 7+ years and doing all this kind of stuff. It doesn't really matter how many years you've been doing it. It just matters how, you know, more educated you are and better you are, refined you are. Because let's say for 7 years I've been doing this industry, Brittany, if I'm doing the exact same thing each year, I'm not doing anything different. I'm just repeating the process every year. So I got like the same 1 year experience for seven years in a row. and I'm not growing and not adapting. Kind of like with TSL now and things of technology that you guys can know more about that down below as well. But it's just, if you're not willing to grow and adapt, you're eventually going to get left behind if you are just relying on what I did yesterday. And doesn't mean what you did yesterday isn't good. It's just kind of like with an athlete. I mean, look at any successful athlete. They're doing the same thing. I mean, if it's basketball, it's not like they're playing with a different size ball today than they did 7 years ago. It's not like they're playing with a different size court they did 7 years ago, but the training's gotten better, right? And the trainers probably have gotten better. The play calling and the athleticism, the weight training and the nutrition and everything else is just constantly getting better. And if you're going, well, I didn't do all that back in 2018, I'm going to do it the way I did in 2018. You probably would be left behind a little bit as an athlete and not getting any better. So, but Brittany, I really appreciate you. I appreciate all you do. You definitely stand out in your territories. And if you don't know about Brittany, you should. Lindy Hand over in Texas, DFW, and also in Missouri, got a full staff. She does a fantastic job. And we got students across the country that we would love to help you out as well. And Brittany does our midweek collaboration meetings called Roundtable. I actually heard a video, Brittany. I won't say who, but there's some people that were kind of coming up with a new thing about senior placement and all. And they're going to have a midweek kind of deal coaching. Guess what they're going to call it?
Roundtable.
Roundtable. I wonder where they got that from. And they said, hey, we call it the roundtable. Like it's funny because people think the words are what's magical. Like when I first came out with years ago about negotiating for seniors, I started putting that in my bio. I can't tell you how many people actually saw, and I'm telling you, at least 10. So it wasn't like hundreds, but at least 10 that people I follow or they follow me, and I saw in their bio, they started going, we negotiate for seniors. We negotiate for seniors. Almost like it's the buzzword that's going to create the business. And I know that helps, but if you don't know how to do it, then the name means nothing, right? So if you're negotiating for seniors like you're negotiating for sticker price of a car, it's not going to work. If you're doing a roundtable, not like Brittany does it on Thursday for our team, and you're just calling it roundtable, but it's really just a meeting and people are just whatever, it's not going to be the same. So it's the same in this business. You got to be willing to adapt and to understand this industry. So if you are in this industry or you're contemplating on getting involved in this industry, do a deep dive into this industry, learn this industry inside and out. It's more than just a business card. It's more than just a referral agreement. It's knowing all the nuances of this industry, and no better way than get involved in a Senior Placement Institute. So I would encourage you to drop down and click the link and schedule a call with me, or watch the free webinar. You ain't got to talk to me if you don't want. Maybe, you don't want to talk to this ugly guy over here in California. You want to, rather go listen to a webinar, and that'd be cool. I forgot how long our webinar is, Brittany. Is it an hour long, 45 minutes or something like that? It's a good length of time. So you'll learn a lot in that webinar. So anyway, we really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of us. Rebecca Stone out there. Oh, she gave us a little plug about the challenge, man. She was part of the VIP on that. We're going to do this challenge again the third week of, I think it's the third week. So the week before Thanksgiving in November. But the challenge was awesome. So much information. I'm putting it all to great use. Anyone considering future, worth every penny. Thanks again, Rebecca. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you, and enjoyed getting to know all you guys in the VIP during that challenge as well. So, hey, until next time, God bless.